All right. Well, today we've got really an amazing guy coming on, Charlie Dobbins, who's going to be talking all about hotel syndications, hotel investments, how it actually works. But you know what? Gotta love Charlie. He is running a couple minutes behind. So I'm going to go ahead and just tell some stupid lawyer jokes because Charlie, like myself, real estate attorney, has been at it for a really long time, having some tech issues. So while we are waiting, what did the lawyer name his daughter? Sue. How about his son? Bill. Why do they bury lawyers 10 feet deep instead of 6 feet? Because deep down, lawyers are good people. What's the difference between a lawyer and a liar? Pronunciation. All right. And let's see if this actually works now.
Wait, are we telling lawyer jokes?
Yeah. Just figure it's a great introduction to a camaraderie, another liar
the club,
getting on
the
here.
fellowship. We're in the fellowship. Okay, here's one. This one you can use anywhere. It's what do you have when you have two lawyers in the same room?
What's that?
3 opinions.
I can appreciate that because the answer is always it depends.
Depends, exactly. All right. So I had to take off my microphone. This is for show. How's my sound coming through?
You're sounding great so far. Hopefully I'm coming through as well.
Well, yeah, but your camera is much better than mine because I'm not in my studio. I'm actually in my house. And I showed you my piano. So
you know what? Next time around, instead of bad lawyer jokes, you're just gonna have to start playing some intro music.
I'll open with a little riff. I'm learning jazz right now.
I love it.
Isn't that cool? So cool.
My favorite part, I took maybe 13 years of piano lessons way back in the day, and I loved playing jazz because it was almost like if you got the patterns down, you can just put them together. You can create new music. You can make it all roll, and it's just amazing.
That's exactly how she started with teaching me, basically saying exactly that. And then she showed me what she was talking about. And my mind was blown. Like, oh, I can't wait to do this. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. Yeah. Very cool.
I love it. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining. Just a quick little introduction. You got 2 real estate attorneys on here, so don't hold it against us. But Charlie actually does the work, and I just talk a good game.
Yeah.
But today it's Charlie's turn to talk a good game and teach all about hotels. Charlie, you have a little bit of background you want to share?
Well, yeah, I got started, obviously when I tell the story, I got out of college and I always wanted to be in the real estate side. But, I took the path of least resistance, which was my family's business, which was insurance, which was, oh my gosh, the worst business in the world. And my father was a legend in the insurance business. And one time I was having a good year and I said, "Hey, Dad, have you ever accomplished this?" And he's like, "Are you kidding me? I've done that. I've done twice that for the last 20 years. I'm like, "Oh man, I'm never going to make it in this business." And so I said, that's when I went back to law school and got my law degree. But while I was in law school, I was doing so well in the insurance field, a very unique niche of the insurance field, that I would have taken a pay cut to be a lawyer. So I decided to stay in the insurance field for a while, did that through a couple of different iterations. I tell you something, if you have a kid that comes home from college and says, "Hey, Mom, hey, Dad, I want to go in the insurance business," there is something wrong with that child. Very, very wrong.
But they make good money. I don't think I shared my background. So very similar.
Oh.
I worked at a wholesale annuities shop during the end of law school. And I kept on going because made so much more money selling financial products than actually being an attorney.
Yeah. I was doing stop loss insurance, which was, it's that narrow niche. You were in the wholesale side. I was essentially wholesaling, products. And they make great money. But man, what a miserable business to be in. It's, oh God, I ended up owning a benefits administration firm. I had 35 employees working for me, built it up from zero. I was a first employee. And I tell you, you do everything right. You do 10,000 transactions right, but you pay the owner's wife's claim wrong, and you're done. You're out.
Yep.
Pack it up. Just terrible, terrible.
But don't
So,
you find the exact same lawyering? You put the comma in the right place, you
oh yeah, yeah.
jumble some words up, then all of a sudden it's millions of dollars in liabilities. And I know you understand that more than a lot of these attorneys that
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about this from an insurance perspective. Folks, just to understand what Nate does is that out of all of the specialties in law, the most expensive professional malpractice premiums are for securities attorneys.
oh my God, you're singing to the choir.
Yeah, absolutely, which shocked me, but I get it. I totally get it. I mean, listen, we know people in our business who have had issues like that. Fantastic people, great people, but career-ending moves. And yeah, it's
Yep.
it's it's crazy. It's crazy.
And I know there's a lot of war stories there.
Yeah.
So
That's a
we'll
whole
share
other one.
those over beer.
Exactly.
Maybe not here.
Yeah. So I decided I couldn't take it anymore. I went to my wife and I said, I'm gonna kill myself. I'll be in an early grave. She says, what do you want to do? I said, I've always wanted to own apartments. She says, let's do it. And so I sold the firm. I started buying apartments. I was over 1,000 apartment units, back in before 2008 and 2009. You know, suffered through the crash, kept some, lost some. But one thing that I loved doing was teaching people how to do it the right way. And that's what I've done for the last 15 years. That essentially is my law practice, is teaching people how to buy apartment complexes. And the thing that's happened recently is back in 2019, one of my students, David Peters, one of the smartest people in any room he walks into, he comes to me and he says, Charlie, I can't get these multifamily numbers to work. And I said, I know. You got to just keep looking. You got to keep looking. I said, but people are buying 3 and 4 caps. The numbers just don't make sense. I said, I know. He says, these 2 guys, 2 brothers, twin brothers came to me and said, would you help us buy this hotel that we can convert to apartments? And so David Peters says, Charlie, can you help me do this? And well, yeah, but not so fast because I start out very slow. And a lot of it has to do with being a lawyer. And Nate, one thing they teach you in law school is stay in your lane. And hotels was not my lane. Multifamily, I know everything. Hotels, not my thing. I said, David, I will help you every way I can, but you're going to have to take the lead and show me what you're doing. I want to learn. He bought 3 hotels after that. I've now bought into 3 of his other hotels. He now has 5 deals that he has going on right now. And I'm telling you, Nate, that's when the light bulb went off for me. That's when.
You know what? You're going to laugh at how similar our trajectory of life has been. However, I lived in Las Vegas for 2008, 2010. So you know how ugly
Oh
that
my
got.
gosh.
But I got into GPing, syndicating, and acquiring multifamily 2010 and enjoyed the entire run up till this last couple of years.
Yeah.
Sold almost everything because it just made sense. But now it's like it is still impossible to make those numbers work.
Yeah.
I'm actually an investor right along with yourself with some of David Peters' projects because I believe in it so much. And so this is all about sharing with everybody really what the benefits, the opportunities, and why multifamily is wonderful, but it's also a thing of the past.
Okay. So the problem is that in order to build new product in the multifamily, the numbers are huge. And the rental rates have to be huge because they need the numbers to work. And the problem is that has priced so many people, rental customers, out of the market for these new products. And there just isn't enough good product coming out. And what David looked at, let me tell you how smart this guy is. Two graphs that he likes to show. He actually went back and looked at the last 100 years of approximately 100 years of cap rate history. And he said the average cap rate, the median cap rate over the last 100 years was about 7%. 7%. And the variance was two points up or down. So in the history of 100 years, the cap rates would go as low as 5 and as high as 9, but they would always be in that range. And what happened over the last 5 years is we started seeing the numbers come down below the 5, and then they got to the 4, and then they started getting into 3s. Historically, that has never happened before, because historically there's never been free money like the feds have been printing. That's why the numbers just didn't make any sense. It's unsustainable. So it's going to have a huge pendulum swing back, and you're going to see it over the next couple of years. The other graph that he shows is that back in 2017, for the first time in this country's history, single head of households have now exceeded households with children. And it's the fastest growing segment of our population, which means that they're not looking for big homes. They don't want 3-bedroom apartments. They're downsizing, and they can't find affordable product. And so David's telling me this, and he shows me how it works with a hotel. And there are certain types of hotels that we go after. Others, well, that'll never work. And we're very particular because there are so many opportunities out there, not like multifamily. Right now, we're looking at a portfolio of 32 hotels, one owner, and we can grab all of these and convert them. The numbers are unbelievable. So that is where we're looking at. But here's a big thing. And this is where it gets crazy. And people, if you got a calculator, you got a pencil, write this down. The cap rates. Obviously, we all want to buy at a high cap rate.
I think you need to explain what a cap rate is, just to set the stage. But before you do, this is so important.
Yeah.
But I just want to put out for everybody, if you are watching, go to this QR code. It's to link to a great manual, an explanation of how to get into apartments, how to get educated about that, how to dive a little bit deeper. And if you need the money, that's where I come into play.
Yeah.
There's some helpful charts for how these deals kind of look like. Just free information for you. Follow the QR code. The link will also be dropped in the chat. That's all I wanted to throw out there while you're.
All right. Well, let me give another plug here, and that plug is that, guys, I use Nate for my securities work. I have all my clients use Nate as well, and it's such a great. I mean, we have so much fun with your partner, Richard Robinette, the long lost, estranged nephew of our president, Joseph Robinette Biden. Yeah, I'm never going to let him live that one down. Okay, so here's the explanation of the cap rate. And the way I'm going to explain it is going to make you understand how it works between hotels and apartments. And my original explanation is very similar to the one that I'm about to give you right now, but I did steal it from someone. So I'm saying that, this is not all of my workings, but here's how it works. The way you have to think about cap rates is it's a measure of the durability of the income on the property. Hotels do not have durable income. You have to sell your product every single night to be profitable, to make money. Multifamily has a much more durable income. People will sign a contract for 12 months, will pay you the first of every month, will show up every single night to sleep there, will keep the place clean. A much more durable income. So we measure cap rates. If it's more durable, it's a lower cap rate. If it's less durable, it's a higher cap rate, more risk involved in the deal. So what we're doing when we're looking at apartments, and what everybody learns when they're going out there trying to find apartments, they want to buy it at a higher cap rate and hope that the market turns, because that's the only way you can control the cap rate. The market turns and it ends up becoming more profitable because it's better. You're better off holding apartments at a different time, different stage. So that's it with the apartments. You have to wait for the market to move.
If I could just summarize that, just so that it's super clear for everybody to hear, it's your cap rate is related to your income. The lower the cap rate means the less income to value. So lower cap rate, more value, higher cap rate, lower value. So it's ideal to have, my God, when we're selling at a 3% cap rate, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But if you're selling at a 7, 8, 9% cap rate, you're just getting a lower price. But that doesn't mean that the income is less. It's just now a higher return because you're paying less for it.
And if you're buying an apartment at a 4 cap, and then the market turns on you to a 5 cap, that means your rents are your net operating income is going to have to increase by 20 to 25% just to remain where you were before. And that's a dangerous position to be in. And trust me, you know, Nate, I was there. I mean, back when you were in Vegas in 2008, when you started riding the wave up, I was the guy who made you a rich man because I was the one holding the property when it crashed. So, you never want to be on that side. And you always want to put yourself in a position where you can buy at a higher cap rate and sell at a lower cap rate. Now, get a load of this. The only way it works in multifamily is if the market changes. From hotels to apartments, you don't wait for the market to change. You are changing the real estate sector. You're taking it from one asset class to another asset class. So the property that we currently have under contract, we are essentially buying that at a 15 cap. How do you like that? A 15 cap for apartments.
Amazing.
And when we're done in about 18 months, we will be able to walk into the bank and say, we have a multifamily property. Here's the NOI, and it's valued at a 6.5 cap. You go from a 15 cap to a 6.5 cap, you make millions.
Can you explain kind of the process or what I know what you're talking about. You're going from a short-term rental to a long-term rental. You've got mid-term rentals. Can you kind of explain how that works and how it really affects those values?
Yeah, because what's happening is all we're doing is changing the asset class. Well, obviously we're turning it into an apartment building, and it's not a nightly stay, and we don't have the laundry to worry about. We don't have daily maid service. All of that stuff goes away. And absolutely, actually, the compensation comes down as well. It's not, we're making sometimes $1,600 a month on some of these weekly rentals, but we turn them into monthlies, and we're now making $1,000 a month. Well, that's bad, right? No, because what we're doing is we're getting rid of so much hotel expenses that we just don't have to deal with when we're dealing with multifamily, and therefore our cap rate goes down. So when we buy this property, we're telling the banks and the lenders that, okay, we're going to run it as a hotel, and we do, but we're going to renovate section by section. And as we renovate them, we're putting in long-term tenants. We're having them sign 6 to 12-month leases. And when we're done, now we can go to the bank and say, we are no longer a hotel. We are actually a long-term stay. Here, look at all the leases that we have. This is our tenancy. Here's our NOI. And we want you to value our property at a 6.5 cap. And so
if you can explain, what does it mean by renovations? Like, you got a hotel room, you have a certain expectation what's in there, going from that to like a studio.
Yeah. So let me tell you what it isn't. what it isn't is we don't go into a hotel and say, oh, well, let's knock down a wall and we'll take this unit and make it a 2-unit. No, that doesn't work economically. It just doesn't make any sense economically, because you lose too much rent when you take those 2 units and make them 1. It never works out economically. So what we do is we look for particular types of hotels. I'm not going to get into the market, what the things we look for in the market area. I'm going to stick to just the 4 corners of the building. What we do is we look for properties that are already sprinklered. That's huge. I mean, it's just, we don't want to spend the money, because when we convert it, the local town is going to say, you can't do that unless you sprinkler every single room. Well,
isn't that already a requirement, or is this
not
only like really old buildings?
really old buildings. And believe me, we get so many of those. We don't always say no to them, but we don't go looking for them necessarily. There has to be a great market. It has to be great rooms for us, but we can do it. We can, put the pipes on the outside. It doesn't look great, but we can actually, it looks great. But here's the other thing too, Nate, is that there are the types of product that we're looking for are becoming more and more prevalent, because they're not building them the way they used to. They're starting to build them mostly like studio and long-term suites, which is exactly what we're looking for. And after about 20 years, those properties are obsolete, and the hotel brand is going to go out and build the new one. We have a nonstop flow of inventory that we can convert into multifamily property. So we look for the sprinkler is number one. The other one is we want to have every unit have its own electrical panel. And if it doesn't, we got to go in there and put it in, because each unit is going to be its own autonomous entity. And so therefore we're going to go in and we're going to make sure that everybody can control their panels right there in the unit. And then we also want to find those that have kitchenettes already built in. We can build in the kitchenettes. We have that capability. But if we can find one where we take out the counter, we put in granite, we put in stainless steel, we make the place shine, we'll absolutely prefer to do it that way. And then also the square footage. We're looking, anything over 300 square feet for a room, that's beautiful. And so just to give you an example, the property that we have under contract right now, we're going to close in April. It is 300, so half the units are 300 square feet, the other half are 350 square feet. They all have kitchenettes. They all have sprinklers. They all have electrical panels. We're buying them for $39,000 a door, which you can't come close to any apartment building at that price. And we're putting in $15,000 per unit. The place will be entirely rehabbed. It'll look like a brand new building for about $70,000 and $60,000. And that is, now we go out and start charging multifamily rates for those units. And
just to guess, probably in that area, a studio apartment, you're paying $120,000 to $140,000.
Oh yeah, yep.
Compared to all in around 70. That sure starts making a ton of sense.
Yeah.
I do want to throw out something else, because have completely seen this in the market. We've helped a lot of the short-term rental investors, these Airbnb, you go and buy these single family homes around. And another reason why I love hotels is just it's the same experience that people had in multifamily. You could own a whole bunch of rental units, but what if you bring it all onto one property? Yeah. I know in the short-term rental space, they've been doing Airbnbs everywhere. They're learning the same. You can just bring it all onto one property. All of a sudden, your life is so much easier of just having to manage one location instead of 20 locations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the other thing too is that a lot of these, and I see Irish Kevin, my old friend there, talking about zoning issues. And one of the issues is every time we get a property into contract, we hire a local zoning attorney. And you have to, and because every single city and town is different. We've walked away from some great deals because the city or town was just nightmarish with their requirements. So absolutely, that's one of the biggest problems. You have to be able to convert that from a hotel into a multifamily. And you might think to yourself, well, what's the difference? They're just sleeping. Everybody's sleeping there. No, the city has their own rules, regulations. You have to make sure you comply with them. Some cities love these types of conversions. Other cities don't even bother knocking. So you're always taking into consideration the zoning rules beforehand. That's part of the
How
strategy.
do you know that in advance? Like, do you have
Well,
to get in there, or is there some way to figure that out beforehand?
yeah, you can pull up the zoning codes beforehand. What you want to look for is what is that particular, the term that we use is by right. Are we able to put a multifamily property in there by right? Meaning the current zoning laws allow for a multifamily in that district. And then the other things you have to look out for are parking. Typically, these hotels have 1-to-1 parking ratios, one space for one unit. But they want these multifamily properties to have higher ratios, like 1.4 spaces for every one unit. And then you have to, this is why you always want to have local counsel working for you. There are different towns that will waive that requirement if you have if you're on a bike path or you're on a bus line, all these different things. But this is part of the project, part of the process for converting these hotels to apartments.
Is the hotels to apartments your exclusive strategy, or are you trying to stay in more the short-term or mid-term rental spaces as well?
One of the best things, I see my partner on the call here, is that he owns 5 hotels, and every single one of them is different because when you start off converting, you might not be able to convert them always to multifamily long-term stays. Sometimes you might have to do a hybrid model. And remember, we're in the business of making money, and some of these properties, because they've been fully renovated, they cash flow beautifully, and we're making a ton of dough. I tell you, I get text messages. I don't know if you do, Nate, because I know you are one of the owners of this particular hotel as well. I always get these text messages from David. Oh man, I know I'm not going to pull it up, but he sends me text messages on Friday night saying like, "Hey, XYZ hotel has 100% occupancy tonight." I'm like, yeah, and I love getting those text messages. He doesn't send them to you?
I miss out on them. David,
Oh.
where are you at? I want to hear this wonderful news too. I'm surprised you're not blasting it out to your entire database of investors just to get them excited, because you know what? I've been excited about multifamily for a decade and a half, but I feel like we're at that cusp of the beginning of the wave in the hotel space, both on the long-term rentals, like the conversions that Charlie's talking about, as well as the Airbnb, the short-term rentals, because that's where a lot of the money's at. But then you have higher management responsibilities.
Yeah. So yeah, it's coming. And I love the fact that our program, our group that we have, we call it the hotel to apartment cohort, our group of investors, and we go after deals and we put the deals together, and we're all part of that general partnership. Actually, joint venture partnership. It's a very unique model, and you've been so helpful in helping us structure it the right way, Nate, and I really appreciate that. To get to the point where everyone in our group will lead their own deal.
And you know what? Before you go a little bit deeper, I want to hear all about it. I just want to throw this up there because I know you've included a manual for how to get involved with this, how to learn more. So for anybody that's watching, just follow this QR code to get hey, this is the 1, 2, 3 manual about exactly what Charlie's just about to talk about. So let me sit back and just listen.
Okay. So, I'll tell you, I've watched these, capital raisers, syndicators, these people out there saying they make multifamily millions by, passive investing. And that's fine. I totally get it. But there's so many people that think they need to get in that way. And they end up, sitting on the sidelines while somebody else runs the deal. And I thought to myself, you know what, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be another way that we can create growth And those syndication models or those GP models, the guys at the top are the ones that made the money. And then, the money trickled down. What I decided to do with David is we created just the opposite. He and I are at the bottom, and we bring people together. We have 25 people in our cohort right now. And as they bring properties, we start helping them put together all elements of the deal. And we were just on a call today for our second hotel property that we're going to be acquiring. We have in a contract right now. And everybody is given tasks, just like you told us to do with the joint venture partnership. Everyone has a role and responsibility, and they have to work, and we have to put all the deals together that way. And that's how we grow this consortium. And David said it best, like our company, we're looking to convert 100,000 hotel units to apartments over the next 10 years to create market rate affordable housing for people. And I'll tell you, there's never been a better time to do this. The product is out there for the conversions. You just have to understand all the little mazes you have to go through, all the little minefields, and to get the deal done. And that's what David and I do for our clients, our students.
So you said something. You said 100,000 units as a goal. We see apartments everywhere. Is there really that much availability in the hospitality and the hotel space to really make that a reality?
It is unbelievable. We have more product to look at. Better deals are found right now on the hotel conversion side than I'm seeing on the multifamily side. And if you know what to look for, if you know how to go after it, you'll be sitting there all day long. You'll be sitting there all day long looking at deals and penciling them out and making offers, which is the name of the game. If you're not making offers, this is nothing more than a very expensive hobby. And you're going to be making offers on these hotels and going through the process. And then, it's different than multifamily. There are a lot of things that are different to it, but it's also a lot more fun. I'm having a blast. And then the other thing I told you about before is we are seeing these perfect properties being deflagged. That's when they lose their flag. That's when they lose their brand name, and are available in the market for conversions now. And that's when we step in and start buying them up. So
what do you mean by that? Like, it was a Marriott, but now they've lost their Marriott branding, and now they're just floating around trying to figure out what's next.
Yeah. So all, these branded hotels, or flagged hotels, as we call them, are hotels that are in some family of hotels. When you're looking to start a hotel or build a hotel, you want to have a name brand. It makes it a lot easier to market. You can easily see the numbers. Their occupancy is always so much higher than the independent hotels. But over time, that brand is telling you have to spend X number of dollars per door to keep that brand up. And they come in there and they watch everything that you do. And so it's called a PIP program, a property improvement program, where they tell you, well, in 5 years, you have to spend $50,000 per door keeping this property up. During COVID, that killed so many of these brands. These guys could not afford it. So they're being deflagged. The hotel comes in and says, you don't pay it, you're out. And they're out. And then they become independent. And they don't have that marketing ability that they used to have. And they're having trouble keeping their doors open. And that's where we come in, where we step in and say, we are always looking for independent hotels. That's the first thing we look for. We're not looking to go buy a Marriott. Those are not our perfect product. So I have one student that constantly brings me these deals, and like, they're beautiful Class A properties. That's not what we're talking about here. Like, those hotels are better off remaining a hotel. And so what we're looking for, those
are they still a target for acquisition, just with a different strategy than the multifamily? Or how does it still make sense to even look at those?
No, because it costs too much money. They cost too much money. We're looking for steals. We are investors. We're looking for deals. That's how we have to look at this. That's how you need to be looking at any multifamily deal. So that's the difference. Is these independent hotels are what we're trying to find. Like right now, we have a deal under contract, and it is currently flagged. And in our purchase and sale contract, we say you have to get rid of the flag. And this particular seller is saying, not a problem. I've already been in negotiations with the flag, and they're going to let us out of the contract. But they have to pay what are called LDs, Nate, liquidated damages. And there's usually a formula built into their contract that says, if you quit our flag, within a certain period of time, you're going to owe us X. And sometimes those numbers are huge. I mean, one I saw was $1 million to get out of that contract, and it just didn't make sense. See, we don't want to be tied to a flag. We don't want that brand telling us that we have to run it like they want us to run it. We want to convert this to multifamily as quickly as possible. So that's
to throw out something that I'm kind of used to. It's like in multifamily, you have a Class C rehab opportunity that you're getting at a discount. You put some money into it, you reposition it, and now all of a sudden it goes up 50%, 100% in value. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, pretty much. And let me just say, I see Irish Kevin here talking about a property that he drives by in Dorchester Dorchester, he calls it, every day. Okay, you know what? Okay, Kevin, go find out who owns that. Did you say it's locked? Looks vacant now. Yeah. You want to check it out. You want to find how big the rooms are. You want to make sure it's independent. You want to go out. But in that particular case, Kevin, and I know that area because that's where my mother was from. And as a matter of fact, I'm standing here in my house. I'm sitting in my house down here in Duxbury, Kevin. And we're selling it. We're closing in April. And the family that's moving in is from Dorchester. So I know, they're getting out of there. But the thing is, Kevin, find out the size of the rooms. Find out if it's independent. Find out who owns it now. Try to get in there and take a look at the rooms. How big are they? I mean, are they sprinkled? I can tell you right now, that's probably, if it's the same one I'm thinking about, it's an older property. Its highest and best use, Nate, is probably torn down and something else goes up there. But that might not be a great opportunity for us, Kevin. But hey, buddy, keep looking. Keep looking. I'd like to convert one right here in my own backyard too.
What is the process? Like, we all drive by hotels and like, okay, well, that looks like an opportunity. That matches what Charlie's talking about. Like, how do you find out what's available, or even if something's off market, how do you figure out where the deals are?
If you're just driving by, get out and go ask for the owner, because he's probably living there. And he probably wants to get out as well. It's just like every other type of real estate. Just go ask the owner. And most of the time they're from the same area in India, and they all have the same last name. But I mean, go talk to those guys, and they'll be willing to talk to you about what they're looking to sell it for. I mean, that's pretty much the two deals that we have were brought to us through brokers. There's a whole other world of hospitality brokers. So yeah, Marcus and Millichap sells hotels also, but there are a whole bunch of other brokers, other national brokers that just deal in hotels. So, start to immerse yourself in that crowd as well.
So let me ask you this, because you brought it up. When I was really focused on acquiring multifamily or working with the brokers that really specialize in it, the ability to close got so many more doors open. Actually, lower offers were accepted because they knew that our group could actually close on the deals. Do you kind of see the same thing, or is there just less competition in the hospitality space?
Okay, I'll be honest with you. That it's kind of, I wish I could say what you just said is true, because a lot of the times what you're dealing with at this level are local lenders. And so, you're not dealing with any government paper. You're dealing with local banks that have to understand the concept. They have to be, see how it works. Most every one of David's deals that he has was closed with a local lender. Let me tell you, I love hearing some of his stories about how he is on a first name basis with these bank presidents, and they pick up the phone, they call them, and that's great. But that's the one drawback to these getting these deals done is it's not cookie cutter. You really have to get in there and explain to the lenders how this whole concept works.
So with on the lender side, just kind of making some assumptions, are you finding that the financing is assignable? So the seller, you're just taking over their mortgage, or you just happen to work with the local guys?
No, you just happen to work with the local guys. One deal that David did, he actually stayed in the bank, stayed in from during the transition. I've done that before in multifamily as well. But you really have to go to town. It's another part of the job. And that's why in our cohort arrangement, one person's responsibility is to go out there and identify the different lenders in that marketplace so that we can go after them. And of course, we work with brokers too. We've got right now on this one particular deal, we've got a debt fund and a credit union looking at the deal. So that's kind of where we are with that.
So you brought up your cohorts a number of times. Could you explain that? Like, if I wanted to become involved, what does that take? And kind of tell me more about the group.
Okay, so what we've done is we set it up. Our first cohort was done in Chicago. People came to our 3-day presentation where we explained to them exactly how you get into this business and into the hotel side. And then we made it available where they could come work with us, David and myself, where we would teach them how to do it, and they would be part of a group. And their job as part of that group, and we have weekly meetings, part of that job is to go out there and find deals. When they find deals, we help them through the whole offering process. We make sure that they're doing everything right. And then once that deal gets accepted, then they become the quarterback of the deal. And then we sit down with them and say, listen, these are the roles that you're going to need to have people involved in on this project in order to make this deal happen. So tap into the other 25 people in the group, offer it out to them, and they can come in there and they start picking up a role and responsibility, and they get to work on seeing if that deal is worth it for us or whether we need to walk away from it. And if it goes through and goes to the financing and we put up the earnest money, then that team is going to be part of the team that's going to own that their membership interest in that particular property. And then we move on to the next deal. And so David and I stay involved in every single deal, and we make sure that everything's being run properly. David's got a system for managing properties like this. It's a very unique system because you're doing both hotels and apartments. And so we stay involved in managing the property, and we also teach the students how to run this type of a deal. The whole idea is for us to get to 100,000 hotel units or apartment units, we've got to bring people into the fold and teach them every step of the way so that they can go out there and find these deals.
And let me just throw this out here. This is the last time I'm going to do it, but go to the QR code. It has Charlie's contact information, has my information, just so that you can learn more. Reach out to Charlie. If you're interested in the next wave of real estate, definitely in the space to really be thinking about spending your time and energy.
Yeah, I love these questions here. California is one of the best markets, but the government is buying up all the inventory and turning it into homeless shelters. And that's absolutely true. And we're seeing that all over the place because of this, because of the illegal alien issue. Kevin,
I know a hotel that was in Phoenix that they just have a contract where the government is renting out 75-80% of the rooms at a great rate, specifically for that purpose.
Yeah.
But now they have guaranteed income too.
Yeah. And we were actually, our 5 people in our cohort actually went on a field trip to a hotel like that out here in Massachusetts. And the state was paying the rents for these people. And the problem was that owner said, yeah, it's only good for 60 days and then we're out of money. The state's out of money. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think now the feds are stepping in and paying for these people. But that's the problem when you're doing business with the government. They can just as easily take it away. Yep. And that's why what we want to do is we want to create market rate units that have a great tenant base. We do criminal background checks, and we make sure that we don't have to rely on the government for any money. This is not Section 8. This is not low-income housing tax credits. This is good old-fashioned investors putting their money in a deal, buying it for $1 and making $1.25 on every dollar. So that's how we are making this happen.
So, and let me throw out my own thing. You know, we do help people raise money. That's crowdfunding lawyers, the law firm that I manage. That's what we do. And when it comes to the hotel space, there's getting to be a lot of demand from investors because we're all starting to really see the opportunity there. So I will just say for anybody that's listening, if it's been tough to find money for your deals, get into a fresh area, get a new focus. And hospitality absolutely is a wonderful industry and direction to go.
You know, and my students were always like, well, Charlie, you know, your focus is now on hotels and you're not doing apartments anymore. I said, no, the name of the program is Hotels to Apartments. Apartments is my thing. I get it. I've understood it for 20 years, but this is the easy. I've never seen anything like this before to get into this business at a very low cost and make huge money doing it.
Absolutely love it. Well, we just have a few minutes left. I don't know if you have any deeper dive into what you're doing, how you're doing it, or how you're teaching other people that you want to share.
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, I see one question here, but what's the tenant base like? What areas does it work? It works anywhere, except for the fact that you want to make sure that you've got a strong enough population to be able to fill up these rooms. Because one investor group that we've watched from the sidelines bought 3 hotels in one neighborhood and was converting all of them into studio apartments, like over 300 units. That's going to cause an issue for the absorption rate in that marketplace. So you've got to be careful with those types of issues when you're deciding whether you want to get into a particular market or not. So those are some of the things that we look at. And preferred areas. So we see great numbers in the primary markets and the secondary markets, the tertiary markets. You know, we have one right now that's under contract in a it's a tertiary market. It happens to be the primary market for this particular state, but overall it's really a tertiary market. And
could you define primary, secondary, and tertiary for anybody that just doesn't know what that actually means?
Yeah. Well, I'm a pilot, so the way I used to describe it is primary is where there's an international airport. Secondary is where there's a towered airport. And then tertiary is where there's no tower and the pilots just talk to each other as they fly around the runway. So that's kind of the way I describe it. Yeah. And the thing about that is that, you know, from a real standpoint, investor standpoint, is it's easy to get money in and out of a primary market. It's a little bit harder to get money in and out of into a secondary market. And it's very hard to find money and get money into a tertiary market. Because investors look at it like that's a narrow market. That's a narrow niche. It's going to be hard for us to sell this property when it comes time to get out. So that's part of the issue that we're seeing in these markets. We have to stay away from the tertiary markets. We want to be able to get our money out of the deal when time comes. So
that makes a ton of sense.
How many occupants per unit? 10 or 20 family members? Okay, now that's a joke, Kevin. We don't need that type of talking about my heritage that way, and how my Irish brethren used to live in the third floor walk-ups in Dorchester. So yeah, but just to answer your question about how we do this, I think the model that we're using right now is exactly the way it should be done. I've been teaching people how to buy apartments for close to 20 years now. And one of the biggest complaints is that people, it's a lonely business. You know, they don't have anybody at home that does it with them, and that nobody on the street is looking to find deals for them. It's a very lonely field. When we've created this with a team, the cohort membership, we're all working together. I got two deals going on right now. A couple people are in both deals, and then we'll have another one right behind it, and we'll add more people into those cohorts. And that's the whole idea, is that we want these people to succeed. I mean, our one of these properties, we think we're going to be able to refinance it in 18 months, and then we're just going to take the money and roll it back in. The same way that Warren Buffett has grown his Berkshire Hathaway. He doesn't pay a distribution. He doesn't pay a dividend. People just keep their money in the program and just keep rolling it over, and it grows and grows and grows. So that's kind of the idea behind our partnership. Is the people in our group aren't looking for the 9% preferred returns. They're looking to build up their personal net worth by owning property and 1031ing it over into the next deal and taking advantage of the tax benefits that real estate has to offer that they don't get with the syndication model. They pay the distributions, they pay taxes, and then 7 years later, they have to start all over again. And that's not the way that our program is designed.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I saw somebody was asking about the QR code, so I'll throw it up there. Getting a hold of Charlie, myself, more information about getting more into the hotel space, the hospitality space. And if you need to bring some money to the table, I've got some helpful charts in there just so that you know how to do it. And we're always here to help, as I know Charlie is as well.
Yeah, a little wise guy, Alan Knowles. He thinks I always talk about my planes. I just sold my plane, and so get off my back, Alan. I'm sad. I'm sad right now, Alan. Come on, jeez.
Well, hopefully you at least traded the plane in for your next Ferrari.
Oh, well, we'll see. We'll see. Not exactly, Nate. Not exactly. So,
well, I hear that you're selling your house. I know you're moving to that mansion on the ocean. So
I'm downsizing.
congratulations.
I'm downsizing everywhere. I'm getting old, man. I want to move into one of these studio apartments, and tell people to leave me alone. I'm going to buy these hotels. I'm going to be like Howard Hughes living on the top floor.
Well, I happen to know a guy that's turning hotels into multifamily and long-term rentals. So
exactly. Exactly. I should probably hook up with that guy, don't you think? Yeah.
That would be smart. I know a guy. I'll introduce you.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I got to give a plug to my partner, David Peters. He was chosen among, I think, 400 potential candidates, chosen to give a presentation for raising money on this hotel to apartment conversion at the Best Ever Conference in Salt Lake City next month. So if you're going to be there, make sure you go and track down David and listen to him, vote for him, because we're going to use that to create a fund with Nate to go after more pursuit capital, as Nate calls it.
I love it. And it actually, like, the world where you get to know everybody from about 6 degrees. I met you originally at a business mastermind.
Oh, yeah.
David, I worked with as one of our clients in the past, and now y'all are doing business together. It's it's weird the way life happens.
Yep. But and we even go deeper than that, Nate. I mean, the way that we knew each other at that mastermind was because of my relationship with Jillian years back, So
who I bought crowdfunding lawyers from.
Exactly. And who is helping David and me put together our event in Florida in September. So yeah, it's all good. And I can tell you something. That's what I love about this business. In the insurance business, this would never happen. It was backstabbing, conniving, cutthroat. Here, we all work together to get, because I need you, you need me. We may need each other 10 years from now. You just never know. You're always nice to people in this business.
I love it. Well, I think that's really the moral of the story, is build good connections with good people, and you'd be amazed with how many doors and opportunities that creates in the future.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun.
Well, thank you everybody for checking out. If you have any last minute questions, throw it in for Charlie.
Marianne Skewers, can I trade into a new RV? She and her partner were driving around in an RV after they left our last virtual seminar with Jillian, as a matter of fact. So that's funny. They were looking at deals all over the country. So,
oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So if you are an RVer and just that's your retirement, look, you can still be making money, finding opportunities, and making things happen along the RV route.
Yep. Good crowd here today, man. You draw a good crowd.
You know what? I love these people,
Yeah,
every last one of them.
I
So
tell
thank
you,
y'all all so much for being here today.
I
Really
agree.
appreciate you.
Great group of people. Like that Marianne Skewers. I mean, that was she and I met through Jillian many
I
years ago.
think I've met her in the past as well, and the name wouldn't bring that light bulb, but her RVing and having a discussion about real estate and finding opportunities all over the place because she's just on the road.
Yeah.
Have we met, Marion?
Hey, but I got to tell you, Marianne, she doesn't know what she's doing. I mean, she was driving all over the country in her RV, seeing the beautiful world. And now she just tells us she's in Chicago now. What is wrong with you, Marianne? Get out of Chicago, for crying out loud. Oh my gosh. Jeez. Yeah. Good. Thanks, Marianne. I'm looking forward to working with you as well. You're going to love this. You're going to love this program, Marianne. Marianne, it's fantastic.
Love it. Well, thank you all for joining. Charlie, thank you so much for being here. Throw it up a final time. If you do want to get a hold of Charlie, learn a little bit more about what he's doing, follow the QR code. And besides that, appreciate y'all. Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, Nate.